these are the recommendations for
Yes.
business, policy, and education leaders, right? Go ahead.
Yeah.
So
You
the
can move
next
to the
slide
next
here.
slide. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the two recommendations is one, very, very simple, but very, very important, that we need to embrace more unstructured time. We need time outside of institutions. And as the innovator Nikola Tesla says, that be alone. That's where ideas are born. And we need a certain amount of seclusion, time away to be able to come up with originality. Now, what does that really mean in a practical world? So in the book, I touch upon the fact that in our education system, we need to reduce the number of years in primary and secondary education. In many parts of Asia, we have a 15-year cycle. That my recommendation is to reduce it to about 9 or 10 years. And allow for individuals, young people, to spend time before they get into the school structure. So being able to encouraging them at home or other, sort of through the family to do things on their own. Whether it is playing, whether it is doing odd jobs in the house, whether it is trying out different things, and then joining the school system. Now, there are two countries that have done this, which is Japan, an Asian country, and Finland. Japan requires both Finland and Japan require you to be in school only for 9 years, primary and secondary. In Finland, you come in much later into the school system, which is I think around the age of 5 or 7. And again, like I said, there's great encouragement on doing things at an individual level. It gives you a great sense of independence before you come in to the education system. And interestingly, both Japan and Finland are very high on the learning curve, and they're also very high on the human development, human security curve that I mentioned earlier. Japan is 12th, 19th, sorry, on the index, and Finland is 12th. Now, having said this recommendation of making sure individuals spend less time in a structured school system, there isn't, I have to say, an exact study to say that this is what will lead to adaptive thinking or a flexible independent mindset. There isn't a study at the moment. But if you look at it in another way, you have a large number of dropouts who have broken the school system and come out. 20% of the American billionaires have been dropouts, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, etc. So, I mean, I'm not encouraging people to drop out of school. But I think there's something there for us to learn, and perhaps going back to my first recommendation, which is that there is a certain risk-taking ability when you aren't sort of leaning back on the school system so much. You're spending more time on your own, and you sort of rely more on yourself rather than the degree or the school system. And I think that is something that you see across some of these people who have dropped out. The second very, very important aspect that is common to them is the ability to learn all the time. To say we don't know, go back to ground zero or go back to basics and say we don't know, and start from there. And that is something we need so much in the Asian region now, as we are moving into this post-COVID development era. Also, going back to the ability to learn again and again, is that the future of work, the Work in World Economic Forum has sort of said that we are going to see 75 million jobs being lost. But the jobs that are lost to algorithms and machines and things like that. But the jobs that are going to be retained are the ones that need constant learning, the ones that need human traits of empathy, creativity, thinking on your feet, being able to adapt to questions. No amount of procedures, processes, structures are going to work. We're going to just need intelligent people who are able to think on their feet. So that's why I recommend that we spend less time in school and more time for an individual to develop him or herself. You can move on to the next slide. Thank you. The second aspect that I recommend in the book is the even in our school curriculum and our school system, the focus on learning by doing. So no longer learning by knowing. It's a subtle difference, but I want to request your attention to this. So this is not a knowing by learning or knowing. It is a learning by and knowing by doing. And what I mean by that is that if we can sort of have specialization far earlier on, even at the primary school level. In fact, the National Education Policy of India has brought in research, not at a PhD level or a postmaster's level. It's sort of bringing in research for young people to do even at a graduation level. And that is great. So allowing people to actually go very deep into a particular subject. Now, this recommendation may seem slightly contradictory to what I said earlier, which is that, allow people to spend more time, thinking on their own. But that isn't true. So there's a economic concept that Professor Ricardo Hausman from Harvard has sort of speaks a lot about, which is know-how, which is, repeatedly doing something till it becomes you, until it becomes yours. Now, and once it becomes yours, that's when you innovate. So for example, take a tennis player. So a tennis player spends years, sort of honing the skill of hitting the ball, his strikes, his or her strikes, etc. So he's not referring to an instruction booklet after a point. Neither is he going to refer to his coach after a point. It just becomes him or her and her style. And once it becomes her or his style, it's then when you start innovating, when you start trying different ways, when you start getting beyond yourself. So in order to get beyond yourself, you've got to be, something. Now, also giving you another example, I dance as well. And it's an Indian classical form of dancing. And the Indian classical form of dancing, interestingly, requires a minimum of 8 years of learning before you can even dance. So a doctor in India requires 5 years to sort of get the basic degree, but a dancer in India requires 8 years. Now, the reason for that is, again, it isn't, these 8 years aren't required to know the dance. It is required to be the dance, to sort of bring it into your muscle memory, bring it into your self, etc. in many ways. It is thereafter that you start innovating, that you start bringing in your own style, you start bringing your own questions to that. And that's why this whole bit on know-how is so important, both economically, culturally, and socially, as I said. Now, we can move on to the next slide. So these are primarily my two recommendations, which is spending less time outside of institutions. And the second is learning by doing. Now, this is also very cost effective, in many ways. Of course, this has to be studied much more. But in a post-COVID time when governments are stretched to sort of invest more in our health infrastructures, we're also seeing, interestingly, in the Asian region, more investment going into military spending rather than education. We've seen that in the last couple of months. Our military spending has gone up to 4.2%. World average was 3.6. We're still spending only 2.1% in education. World average is about 4.4. So, and perhaps this is a trend that's going to continue. So what does it mean for human development and human security? I mean, we shouldn't therefore just be placing people in education systems blindly. The government, and I take the example of where I'm sitting, India spends large amounts of funds in making sure that people don't drop out or people stay within this 15-year, school system. But like I said, a huge amount of state expenditure goes into that. The fact is that there are studies and studies that say rural and urban people spend only about 11 years. So you rather focus your funds on those 9, as I make the recommendation, or 11 years and get that correct rather than spending the funds to make sure that they stay for 15 years. And Japan is one example of having instituted it. There are countries that are now looking at it much more closely. Malaysia is one of them, Singapore as well. And also, just my last point, which is organizations, which in many ways have a larger GDP than nations today, are looking at this. So Google has a 10% time off, where you can spend time on your own, no questions asked. You can just take your book, sit in the park. And they've seen several innovations as a result of that, Post-it, several tech areas. Intel has a think on your own time. And so, and in the words of Google, he says, innovation is every person's business. And that's what we have to make it. And that's the reason why I wrote this book. Thank you.